Hi, Abby. Thank you so much for joining today. I'm
Hey.
super excited to know more about your story. As I mentioned, I can remember when I met you for the first time or when I saw your first reel on social media, and I was like, oh my God, this is so relatable. So I just want to share your story today, and maybe other people will learn from it.
Yeah.
So,
Thanks for having me. I'm super honored to be here. I appreciate it.
cool. So can you tell me more about yourself, about your sport? Just introduce yourself for the community.
Yes. So my name is Abigail Okenge, and I am a natural bodybuilding pro, part of the OCB, which is a federation that's run in the United States. I just kind of started my official bodybuilding journey at the beginning of 2024. I had not ever thought I would do a bodybuilding prep or a bodybuilding show, much less go pro in a bodybuilding show. But had loved lifting and powerlifting and strength training for about 3 years up until my husband did a bodybuilding show and I watched him go through his prep, and the entire time he went through it, the only thought I had was, this is not for me. I don't think I could do this. I don't want to do this. I'm not dedicated enough. I'm not disciplined enough. I just think I would fail. But then I saw him on stage and, getting to see all the hard work he put in pay off. And at that moment, I got the bodybuilding bug, and I decided I wanted to try it and challenge myself. And so I started my first prep in January of 2024. Did my first show that end of May of 2024, and then now I'm in a growth phase, getting ready for my pro debut, which will be either late August or early September of this year.
Awesome. I can totally relate. I had a trainer that was competing, and I didn't know anything about bodybuilding back then. And when I saw his competition prep, and I was like, I will never do this.
Yeah,
And then 2 years later, here I am.
here we
Wow,
are.
that's so interesting.
It's funny how that happens. And I think, especially living in the same household, when the first time he went through his prep, I looking back was probably a little bit too harsh, a little bit too mean, wondering why he was being such a baby about things. And then now, having gone through mine, he just recently underwent his second prep. And during that time, I had so much more grace and patience for him because I knew exactly what he was going through.
I wonder how it is to live with another bodybuilder, if it's better to prep at the same time or actually have like when one is prepping, the other one is not prepping.
Yeah, that's been our game plan up until this point because one needs to like run our house. Needs to be clear-minded. They need to, not be tired all the time. Someone needs to like hold the fort down while the other person, is going through a prep. Because it can be a pretty serious and intense experience.
Yeah, I can imagine. Can you tell me more about your early years, where you like coming from like a family where you were working out and having like a very sporty family, or is it like my situation where nobody was working out and I was the little special one because why is she going to the gym, you know?
Yes. Yeah, so I wouldn't say my family is necessarily sporty, but we were involved in sports. I was a swimmer actually. I swam throughout middle school, high school, and then my first year in college. Um, Both my siblings did it as well. My parents are not very avid they don't work out ever. So we weren't really from like an athletic family. We didn't ever go out and hike frequently. I know some families can be really into that. So we played sports, but that's about as far as like our fitness journeys went as a family.
Well, that's that's I think the experience of many people that are not necessarily from, as you said, like a family where they were going on in hikes and things like this. Like for me, if I tell my mom to go on a hike, she'll tell me like I'm crazy.
Yeah.
From my North African background, just like we don't do this in this household. But that's a really interesting one. So you were a swimmer. Is it something that you started as a like a very early age, or is it something that you've done in your teenage years?
Yeah, I did it over the summers. We had like summer swim team, and it was always the highlight of my year. I loved it. And then started to do it more competitively in middle school. So I had been swimming my entire life, but really got competitive with it in middle school and then throughout high school and then obviously into college. Um, Looking back, I mean, you dedicate a lot of time to swimming. It's a very unique sport in the sense of it's kind of like bodybuilding. And I guess it prepped me in a way to be ready for bodybuilding, but you go to the pool twice a day. You go in the morning really early, and then you go to class, you do your homework, and then you go back to the pool and do another 2 hour practice. So it's very easy to get burnt out. And that definitely had happened to me when I was in college. I kind of recognized I went to a very small school. I wasn't a great swimmer. I was decent. I could swim in college, but it was at that point I recognized, like, okay, this isn't really going to necessarily take me anywhere in life. Like, I'm not going to go to the Olympics. So I decided to quit swimming so I could pursue some other things academically while I was in school. But that kind of gave me the opportunity to stop something that I had enjoyed up until a point, but then look at some new, different ways of being active and getting into eventually like resistance training and strength training.
Awesome. So did you transition from swimming straight to strength training, or was it more like going to the gym, doing some cardio, and then
Yes.
gradually?
Yeah, nail on the head. I was a cardio bunny. So it was actually a really tough transition for me because I had been, an athlete up until that point. Once that was, I'm sure a lot of people experience this. A lot of people play high school sports, a lot of people play sports in college, but you dedicate so much time to something and then all of a sudden there's just an absence of it. You don't really know what to do with all your free time. And then also, you don't really have any direction on how to take care of yourself physically because you had this avenue to do so for so long where someone was telling you, how many laps to swim, how many crunches to do, even what to eat sometimes. So I was kind of left in this void of, okay, I don't really know what to do when it comes to my health and fitness. And I was also really anxious about gaining a ton of weight because you do a lot of cardio in swimming. That's all that it is just laps of back and forth and back and forth and back and forth twice a day. So I knew that I was not going to be burning all these calories anymore. So I had this fear of now I'm just going to put on all this weight, which led me to start doing a ton of cardio in the gym. I would try to do, miles and miles of running. I try to be a runner, girly. I'm not a runner. I found that out after I did my first half marathon, and I decided it wasn't for me. But then also I started to develop some really unhealthy relationships with food, trying to, eat as little as possible out of fear of gaining weight. And then that kind of developed into some disordered eating habits, some binging tendencies, and it was actually a really dark time for my health and fitness journey. Was that in between of like right after I stopped swimming in college and then kind of before I actually had this mental click of what it means to take care of your body and how to do so in a healthy way.
So you say that your eating disorder came after you stopped swimming, or was it already a little bit there? Because I know that in some sports it's very common, especially like dancing and I guess swimming as well, just because of the whole culture and the outfit and everything. So do you think that it was something that happened after, or that it was already there before?
That is a great question. I definitely think seeds were planted before, but nothing had really made itself clear until after I was done swimming. because you are doing so much exercise, you are able to eat a ton of food and like not see the physical effects of it because you're using those calories, you're using that as energy. So there is kind of this culture around swimming of just like eating a lot of food, which doesn't necessarily stop when you stop swimming. So after having gotten used to eating so much food in order to fuel myself, I knew like I wasn't supposed to do that anymore once I was done swimming. And that just prompted a huge dissonance within me of, okay, I really want to eat a lot, but I know that I quote unquote shouldn't eat a lot. So I think it started to develop while I was in a sport. And also partially because I think, especially in high school, I think it's a little bit better now, but just a lack of education around nutrition when it comes to sporting activities, and different sports require different, nutrition recommendations in order to support the athlete as they go through the practices and the meets and the games. And I don't really feel like I ever received that, which didn't help the transition into post athlete life at all.
So you mentioned that you were told sometimes what to eat when you were doing swimming. Like, have you ever been explained why you were supposed to eat that way? Or was it just you follow the instructions and
A little bit of both. I think there was some general knowledge about like a big thing in swimming is like carbo loading. You would have like a ton of pasta the night before a big swim meet because you needed the glycogen from the carbs for energy for the meet. But that wasn't explained. It was like, oh, we eat pasta because it gives us energy for our swim meets. Um, and I always used to drink chocolate milk after a practice because I guess it was supposed to be high protein. I don't really know. Eventually transitioned into protein shakes, but like I just knew it was supposed to be good for me. I didn't necessarily know why. Like the why wasn't articulated. But I just had this general understanding of, oh, like this is supposed to be good for me. So I'm going to do it. So it was a little bit of both.
all right. So you mentioned that you were like a cardio bunny, and then you also mentioned that you were doing powerlifting. So how did you transition to powerlifting? Was there a specific goal, like really feeling strong, or was it just because I don't know you saw people doing that and you're like, oh, I want to hit this PB as well?
Yeah.
I, I'm very guilty. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah. It was honestly, it's kind of cool looking back, but I started to become friends with a person who is now my husband, which is cool, who was really adamant about going to the gym, staying healthy. I admired his lifestyle. And he was also an exercise science major in school. And he was really able to start to help educate me and teach me about resistance training and strength training. And as I started to learn from him, I started to follow certain people on Instagram that really promoted it. And then along with that, I started to recognize that, like, oh, I need to fuel myself. If my goal is to get strong, then I need to eat properly in order to do that. It's not like I can just go in and start lifting weights and my muscles are going to appear and they're going to get stronger. But I also need to nourish myself in tandem with that in order to achieve my goal. So it was really Ben, my husband, his encouragement and education that he gave to me that helped my mentality transition from trying to be as small as possible to wanting to be as strong as possible. And then that, that it wasn't an overnight like light switch on where I felt that way, but over a good couple months, I started that journey, and it really I think has been the most pivotal point when it comes to my own personal health and fitness journey of wanting to be strong and Understanding that it's okay to take up space and that it's okay to not try and shrink myself. So it was really Ben. I owe him a lot.
It's wonderful to have someone to support you and also teach you along the way. Have you ever competed in powerlifting, or is it only in bodybuilding? That you compete?
Yes, I never competed in powerlifting. It's funny also looking back at like how some of my feelings towards swimming have affected my current fitness pursuits with bodybuilding and even powerlifting. Something I really didn't like about swimming is it's very much an individual sport, which bodybuilding is, which powerlifting is. So that's kind of my niche. I like individual sports. But I would get serious like meet day anxiety. And not be able to perform in a certain race because I was just so anxious about that I was gonna fail. I wasn't gonna get the time that I wanted. I wasn't going to meet my coach's expectations when it came to the race. And that really transitions into powerlifting, even just doing it for fun, like going for a PR. I get really anxious about, like, oh, I'm gonna fail this. Oh, my trainer thinks I can hit this lift, but I'm not really sure if I'm that strong. And I really struggle with that. And that is kind of what hindered me from ever pursuing powerlifting more competitively. I think if I could get over that, I would be decent at it. And that's one of the things that I really love about bodybuilding is that it's still that, individual aspect of the sport. But by the time you get to your show day, you've put in the work. All you have to do is not fall on your face. Right? Like you've done the workouts, you've done the cardio, you've eaten on your meal plan, you've practiced your posing, you've already done all the work. You just need to show up and present it. And there's something about that that just really clicks with myself and my personality of I don't really get the show day anxiety. It's really exciting for me and I get like happy nervous butterflies getting ready to go on stage because there's not this feeling of oh, I'm not going to perform or I'm going to mess this up or I don't think I can do this. Like I already did it. I already showed myself I could do it. And so it's really a moment of pride stepping on stage and showcasing the physique.
But how was your first time on the stage?
It was great. It was so, I mean, I remember I was so nervous. Of course, my first time up there, and you're in a tiny little bikini in front of like my family's there and all these random people I've never seen before. And so I had a really, like, my heart was racing. I was sweating a lot. And you're under these hot lights. But I remember specifically one of the hardest parts was just smiling for so long. Like it hurt my cheeks to try and like hold a soft smile for that long while being on stage. I don't know why, but for some reason that just sticks out to me in my mind from that first show day of like, wow, it was like I need to work on training like my cheek muscles this prep so I can hold a smile for the time that I need to when I'm on stage. But overall, it was a great, great experience. One of the best parts about bodybuilding for me is getting to meet the other girls and the other competitors and start to develop friendships with them and hear their stories and then like cheer each other on stage. I just adore that part of the sport. And so that was also one of the best parts of show day for me.
Um, did you have any expectation of who would be behind the scenes? Like personally, I thought initially before I got to know what bodybuilding was, I thought everyone backstage will be a personal trainer, and they will all have pretty much the same story. They've been training for like 15 years, and then I'm just gonna be there, the little weird one.
Newbie. Yeah.
That is absolutely not in the sports field. Like I'm not a personal trainer, so I thought everyone there is going to be a personal trainer. They would all have like 10 years behind them of training. But in the end, I've met so many people coming from different backgrounds and doing completely different things. And what I absolutely loved about the community, and I don't know if you share the same experience, but pretty much everyone was showing up for themselves. Like it didn't feel like a competition really. It was more like I've done the work and I'm here to show off that I literally showed up
Yeah.
every time, even if I didn't want to.
Yes. Oh, I love that. I've been thinking a lot about that actually recently of how bodybuilding is very much a you versus you sport. And yes, we have specific rounds of our show day that are literally called comparisons. Like the whole point is to compare you to the other people on the stage. That's what bodybuilding is. But truthfully, if you want a successful bodybuilding career, the you have to define what success is, and I think in order to feel fulfilled in that success, the goal is to show up better than you did last time. And that I think is was the sentiment of my first show as well. A lot of the girls it was their first show. Um, and so we were all just had this kind of communal pride in ourselves and even in each other. Like we knew what every other person had to go through in order to be there on that day. And we knew it wasn't easy. And so there was a mutual respect and pride like in each other that we showed up for ourselves and we're able to, go on stage and present our physiques, but then also in each other. Like it's just a huge mutual respect event. So, and it is also really neat to see the different types of people that are there. There are so many moms that compete, which is crazy. I have so much admiration for those women. A lot of first timers, like I said, students. I work a full-time job. I work a 9 to 5 job. So there are a lot of, people with just regular jobs too. So it's awesome to see that if bodybuilding is something that you want to try and you want to do, there's probably someone in your situation that's also pursuing bodybuilding. Because, like you mentioned, you thought everyone was going to be a personal trainer and have like all these years and years of experience. I kind of come at it from the perspective of like, oh, everyone's going to be a full-time fitness influencer. Like their whole job is going to be competing and is going to be bodybuilding. And that's not my full-time job right now. Maybe one day it will be. That'd be awesome. But that totally wasn't the case. There's so many just regular, normal people that are so cool and have their own stories. And it's great to meet them and learn about them.
Yeah, I absolutely love that part, especially because some people literally live through night shifts and still manage to get to the gym. Like there were nurses, doctors, there were plenty of people from different industries, but not always people that can manage to have like a very stable lifestyle, going to the gym at the same time and so on, just because of the way that their life schedule is. So I just felt like you can't have any excuse because everybody else is managing it somehow. And I absolutely loved it. Like some of the girls that I met backstage are now my besties. I just love these people. And I feel like there is another level of understanding when you're not feeling great and when you're not feeling great and you still have to hit the gym and everyone around you is like, you can just skip today. I'll just talk to my girlies because I know that they understand.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, oh, so sad. Well, go to the gym anyways.
Yes, yeah. Like that sucks for you. Guess what? It sucks for the rest of us. So get up and go.
They will be like, do you think that the other competitors didn't do their lunges? I
Exactly.
absolutely love this community. I've learned a lot with these people, and this is the thing that I'm the most grateful about, to be honest. It's not necessarily the lifestyle or the I don't know, like the competitions, the shows that I put first is really the community and all the people that I've met through this community.
Yeah, I agree. I think that has been aside from like the self-confidence I feel like bodybuilding is giving me, the community is unlike any other. And it is just so filling and encouraging to be a part of it.
Yeah. Do you think that you would continue in bodybuilding forever, or do you think it's more like phases and then you can, for example, come off of it, do powerlifting, then coming back and just enjoy it that way? Like,
Yeah. I have been thinking about that recently. I know a lot of girls in particular that will dabble in both. I just met a girl recently who, like, every other year she competes and then every other year she does powerlifting. And she's stellar in both. Like, she is a rock star. But I also think it's really cool to see, like, the moms, for example, how, like, they took a break from bodybuilding in order to have children and raise family. And then they were able to come back and still pursue their dreams of bodybuilding. So I definitely think there's an opportunity to, take some time to be in a bodybuilding phase. Bodybuilding definitely is a long game, especially when it comes to like the natural space, competitor space. You'll see a lot of the more higher level athletes in the natural federations. They're older because they've just had the advantage of time. They've been able to, go to the gym for more years and put on more muscle because of it. So even if you don't want to consistently compete every year, you can definitely take some time off, have a little bit more of a chill season. Maybe that is powerlifting, maybe it's doing triathlons. It can be a lot of different avenues that you can explore, but as long as you're consistently strength training and resistance training and progressively overloading and growing, like, you're technically bodybuilding and can do it forever.
Yeah, I forget. And eating enough protein and
Yes,
creatine
true.
and these things. No, but I totally get you. I also believe that there is no harm in taking a break and doing other things. It's all about what you're enjoying the most. Like if
Mm.
bodybuilding was your favorite sport ever, and then at some point you feel like you need to deload, or not necessarily deload in terms of weight, but just try something else, that's also completely fine. So just do whatever you feel is best for you at that specific time, and there is
Yeah.
always a way to come back. And I totally agree with you. My personal trainer, she's amazing. I admire this woman so much, and she's a mom as well. She's gonna be competing in 3 weeks from now, and I just saw her pictures while I was training, and I was like, okay, I have no excuse.
If she can do this, yeah, yeah.
Well, she was giving me all those, like 3 second eccentric and 1 second pause, and I was like, why is she doing this to me? And then I saw her pictures, and I was like, okay, just listen to what she says. She
Yeah,
knows
she
what
knows
she's
what she's
talking about.
talking about. She does it for herself, I'm sure.
So what about you? Do you have a personal trainer, or is it your husband that is guiding you through your process?
Yes. So my husband is my coach, which I've never known anything different. So I really like it. I definitely feel um, like I can be a little bit more transparent and honest with him about things than maybe I would if I was working with someone else. Excuse me. But like I said, he studied exercise science. He's actually in grad school right now for physical therapy. He has his certified strength and conditioning specialist license. So he loves this world of bodybuilding. He's really been a student of it for a long time. He's competed himself for a couple years, and now is also coaching a couple of their competitors as well. So it's been really fun to see him kind of find his passion for the coaching side of it, having competed and then now coaching. So yeah, he's been working with me for the past couple years, and I really like it. Sometimes I can get a little frustrated with him, like if I don't get a refeed meal or if he cuts my calories a little bit more than I wanted. I can, make it more of a personal issue when it's not whatsoever. So there can be some tension there, but overall, I feel really blessed to have him as my coach and enjoy it.
I totally get you. I think I would prefer to have someone that is not from my family
Yeah, yeah.
because, yeah, it can get really hard, especially at the end with peak week. I remember I love my trainer. I really love her, but on peak week, I just hated her every day. I was like, I need food. Yeah. So, what do you think about how precise bodybuilding is when it comes to your lifestyle, and does it impact your social life as well? Or because your husband is also in the industry, so it's maybe making it a little bit easier as you have the support of someone that actually knows what it is. How do you feel when it comes to like social gathering, family
Mm.
gatherings, and things like this?
That is a great question and is something that people who want to bodybuild should definitely can take a good amount of time to consider. It becomes a lot easier when you have a buddy who kind of knows what you're going through and understands the sacrifices that you have to make because to a regular person bodybuilding because and I know this because I was this person at one point. Like it just kind of seems stupid.
Right.
Like you are depriving yourself of a lot of the joys of life when it comes to, birthday parties and holidays and just family dinners and things like that. Because you can't participate in that aspect of them, which I think in our culture, especially, all of these events revolve around food. And when you're in prep, you gain an understanding of just how food focused some of our major holidays and events are. But that gives you the opportunity that you may not have otherwise had to kind of think about okay, what actually is the purpose and intention behind this social gathering? Is it to, snack on some stuff with some people? Or is it to spend good, genuine time with people that I love and I care for? Because once you're able to think about it from that perspective, it makes the sacrifice of not participating in the food a lot easier of a decision to make. And then also the people that are closest to you, they may not understand why you're choosing to do this, but if they respect you enough, they will not question it. They will let you bring your meal prep to their event, to their function. They may ask some silly questions like, oh, so you can't eat this? Or when are you going to be able to eat this? I get that all the time when I go out. Even just today, I went out to lunch with my family and my aunt was like, so you can have this stuff, right? Like, yes, I can. But it definitely does impact your social life. So you have to, think outside the box when it comes to spending time with your friends, spending time with your significant other, thinking about dates that aren't just going to dinner. Like, what are some activities you can do? What are some games you can play? How can you connect with people in your social circle that aren't events that are revolving around food?
Yeah, it's pretty tough. I remember reading this sentence, "Don't treat yourself, you're not a dog." And I remember during my whole prep, everyone was asking me, "So, how are you going to treat yourself after competition?" And at that stage, I was already thinking that food is more fuel than anything else, and the social events shouldn't necessarily revolve around food. We can go for walks, we can go for coffee, we can do plenty of other activities that don't have to be sitting around a table full of plenty of pastries.
Mm,
And that was really hard to explain that bodybuilding diets is not just eating healthy. It's to the gram of rice precise, especially at the end of the prep. And that was really, really difficult to explain this to people around me that have no idea what I'm doing.
hmm.
Um, so I totally get you, especially coming from a very traditional North African family, traveling after my prep. That was something that they just couldn't understand.
Yeah.
But food is life.
Yes. Do you feel
um,
like now, though, you mentioned you're going to do another competition. Do you feel like your family understands a little bit more now about the seriousness of the diet and the meal plans, or do you think they're still kind of like, what?
not really. They still think, oh, you can just eat healthy. It's fine. The difference for me is that I've been prepping while living in Australia. My family lives in Europe and in North Africa, so
Hmm.
every time they saw me, I was still watching my calories and my diet, but not to
Not
the
in prep.
extreme, yeah, to the prep extreme. So they understand, but still they have a very difficult time understanding how precise it has to be.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. I think now, as I'm gearing up to go into my next prep, people that watched me go through my first prep have a little bit more of an understanding now of what I have to do and the restrictions that I have to place on myself, which I'm a little bit more comfortable with now. Like it's nice that they know that this is my life and this is what I'm choosing to do and they just accept it. So I'm looking forward to the fact that a lot of the people already know like what to expect from me. I don't have to re-explain like, oh, can't do that, sorry, or like, oh, sorry, can't drink that, can't do this, can't do that. They just know now it's part of my life.
Yeah, that's something that makes me sometimes a little bit anxious to travel,
Mm.
because I know that they don't fully understand yet because they didn't live the prep with me. My mom was just telling me, "You're too skinny now. You need to eat." And I'm
Hate to break it
actually,
to you, mom. I'm gonna get a little bit more skinny.
yeah, she has no idea. Like, I was wearing like very oversized clothes whenever I was calling her because I knew she would just panic if she saw me like with
Yeah,
abs.
yeah.
Like,
And you were cold.
yeah. I was like, "Ah, I'm just gonna wear something like very oversized." But still, she was like, "Your face is getting very small." And I was like, no, it's just, I just woke up and
It's just the camera. It's just
it's the angle. Yeah, so that was pretty tough. And in fact, like, I'm traveling to Europe, uh, not end of next week, 25th of March, but so very soon. And I'm still bulking, so I'm a little bit lucky at the moment. But once I start prepping again in a few weeks, I'll have to be back home because I know it's not gonna go well if
it's
I'm not
tough.
here.
Yeah.
If I'm not in my little bubble and really focused and really weighting everything to the gram, because my family will never, I think they will never fully understand, and that's something that I made peace with. I
Mm.
just now understand that we are from different generation. We have different passions. They might never understand, and that's okay as long as they respect my decision, which they
Mm.
have been doing, and I'm really happy with. So that's all I'm asking them for is just
Yeah.
respecting my own decisions.
Yeah. That's all you can ask anyone for. And I think once you understand that, then it makes the decision to do a bodybuilding show and to prep a lot easier when you just, accept like they're going to think of me what they think of me and I can't control that. All I can control is how I feel about what they're thinking about me. Um, that there's a lot of freedom in choosing to like just let that go.
Yeah, and just not taking things too emotionally. I mean, like, anyways, during your prep, there will always be new people telling you, "Oh, so you cannot eat chocolate, you cannot eat carbs, you cannot eat this," and then you're just like, "I'm peacefully just gonna listen to it. It's fine."
Yeah.
um, yeah, so it's fine if people don't necessarily understand why you're putting yourself through this, because as you mentioned earlier, I was that person before. When I saw my trainer competing, I was like, why is he putting himself through all of this? It's a lot for a human being to not eat and work a lot. He was working from like 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. sometimes,
Wow.
and still prepping and working out, doing his own sessions that were extreme. And I just kept on thinking, why is he doing all of this to himself? Like, what's the gratification coming out from this? And now that I'm doing it, I have a lot of respect for him. He probably had like a way harder prep than me. He was working way more than me, probably. And I have so much respect for so many people that are, as I said, training through night shifts and hectic schedule. So yeah, it also makes you understand other people better, I feel like.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
yeah, um, there is a side of bodybuilding that is considered not very healthy. What do you think of that in terms of? I personally believe that any competitive sport at some point will be a little bit unhealthy.
Unhealthy.
So, what's your opinion on this?
I 100% agree that bodybuilding with those people, bodybuilding is unhealthy. It's not, people don't compete in a bodybuilding show because of their health, because they want to improve their health. I agree with what you said. Every sport when you get to a certain point where yes, it's probably beneficial for your health, but you will cross a line when at some point you're overexerting yourself, you're overtraining, overexercising, undereating, and then it's no longer of benefit to your health. And bodybuilding is that way 100%. I've had countless people on my Instagram comment about how unhealthy I am, how I have an eating disorder, about how someone just commented yesterday, like, I'm destroying my organs right now, which some of them are a little bit dramatic, but never once have I claimed that bodybuilding is healthy because it's not. I like this phrase because I think it explains it well. You're systematically starving yourself, essentially. Like you're restricting intake of food and nutrients so that your body is lean and the fat is lost so you can present your physique. That is in no way healthy. So I think it's really essential if people want to try bodybuilding to have a conversation with yourself of, are you at a point where you can go through a pretty serious meal plan and restriction, um, and then come out on the other side okay, because there's going to be a period of time when your eating habits and your relationship with food, it's going to get really distorted because of how little you're eating, how lean you are, your hormones tank. Your hunger hormones, your satiety hormone, everything's just all messed up in your body, which is not healthy. But again, it's not for your health. So I am, again, 100% agree that it's not healthy for you. It's a sport, it's for competition.
Yeah, I really love what you said about having a discussion with yourself before starting prep. I see a lot of people starting their prep with not necessarily the best mindset. I mean, a lot of people start that way, anyways,
Yeah.
with the idea of I'm going to do a bodybuilding show, I'm going to shrink, and then I'm going to keep it off, which is definitely impossible. You understand it way later, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think it's very serious that you really have to talk to yourself first, because if you come with a very unhealthy mindset, I think these sports can potentially break you. And especially, I think you've mentioned this on your social media as well. After competitions, the whole body image issues, where you've seen yourself at your peak physique, and then it has to change for your
Hmm.
own health. It has to change, and that's pretty tough. I guess you can you can talk about it as well.
Oh yeah, you have to do a complete 180 once you get to your show day. You spend weeks, months, days with one goal, and it is to get as lean as possible and maintain your muscle mass. And that is your sole purpose during this time. That's why you're training the way you're training. That's why you're doing the cardio you're doing. That's why you're eating the meal plans. That's why you're not going out with friends. That's why all your decisions pretty much revolve around this one goal of losing as much body fat as possible to get on stage. Then you step off stage, and all of a sudden, the goal flips. It's now you have to gain weight, you have to put the weight back on, you have to eat more, you have to lessen your cardio, you have to do all these things that you just spent months thinking were bad, quote unquote. And that can really mess with your mind, and it will. And I've had a lot of girls comment and a lot of discussions had about how the reverse process mentally is much more challenging than an actual prep. Um, because you've just spent so long with one goal, and then all of a sudden it's like you have to retrain your mind and your body to what success looks like in this stage. And not only that, but your goal of success in a reverse process is very countercultural because women especially are told from as little as we can remember, like, you have to lose weight. Like, being small is what is attractive and it's what's popular. So all of excuse me, Our whole culture is telling us that intentional weight gain is not good and not attractive. So not only do we have to be at peace with that, we also have to be at peace with the fact that we're going against the goal that we've set for ourselves for the past 6 months. But it is so essential for our health to have body fat, and to be eating an adequate amount of calories and nutrients in order to sustain our being. But it is not for the faint of heart. It is not an easy thing to do to make that transition.
Yeah, I was very lucky to start my journey at the same time as you started vlogging your own journey. I was watching also the show of Julia Renee on YouTube,
Yeah.
and it helped a lot because I felt a little bit alone in this process, and I was thinking I was the only one having all of these, little voices in my head saying, "Oh, you're not as good as you used to do, like as you used to be, or you're not training enough, or your body is changing too fast. Maybe you're gaining weight too
Mm.
fast and things like this." And then just having people like you sharing their stories and also their feelings about all of this process, it helped a lot to feel like I'm not alone in this journey and other people are feeling the same.
Mm.
So that helped me a lot, and also with my trainer, because I text her every now and then, and I'm like, I think I'm getting fat. She's like, no, you're okay, hon. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, if you say so.
Yes, exactly. It's like, oh, phew. Yeah, I think the bodybuilding space, it's very, I mean, just social media in general, it's a highlight reel. Like people want to show the best parts of the best parts. They want to show the new low weigh-in and they want to show the new vein that they have or the new striation or the cool new, whatever thing is. But then we don't see the tough parts. We don't see the day that the scale was higher than they anticipated. We don't see the day that like cardio was really tough. And we don't see their thoughts of when they look in the mirror and think like, "Oh, I like really don't like the way I look right now," or "I feel really fluffy. I feel really heavy." We don't see that. And so then we think that, oh, everyone else must not experience that. No one else, certainly, I've not seen anyone else struggle with this reverse
Yeah.
as much as I am. Or like I don't know if you had any episodes where you just can't stop eating when you're coming out of your show. Your hunger hormones and satiety hormones, they just don't speak to you. And you just literally eat until you're sick because you are so hungry and you're craving that food. And you don't see anyone talk about that. And so you think you're the only one that is dealing with these really hard parts of bodybuilding. So that is a space and it's not always easy, but I really aspire to be as vulnerable and transparent as possible to show people that what they're feeling is probably normal. And other people most definitely feel that way too. And if they're feeling this way or they had this specific situation happen, they're not alone. And it doesn't make them a failure because probably everyone else that's competing in bodybuilding has also gone through it at some point as well.
Yeah, I think with my experience of having shows one back to back, I already started my reverse diet in between the shows. So when I completely finished, I thought, oh, I'm used to it. I've been doing the reverse for a little while now. I've been doing great. But the fact that I had the competition coming still, I was able to stick to it. But once all the competitions were over, I had this panic loop of I just go with a friend, for example, for lunch, and then I'll eat tons, and then I'll feel a little bit guilty about it, and just get into this panic mode of okay, this is the last time that I'm doing this, and then the next day I do something similar, and
Mhm.
I'm like, oh my god, I'm messing up everything, and then yeah, it was just a loop of okay, I'm gonna starve myself, or no, I shouldn't be doing this. This is not what we've been working on for the last year,
Mhm.
and then it goes on and on and on, and it's very mentally challenging to come off of a prep, especially when you don't have a set date for another competition coming. You're just out there and you're like, I can do anything that I want, but at the same time this is not what I should be doing.
Yeah.
And especially when you have a social media account where you're sharing a lot of information and tips about how to be healthy, how to have a healthy mindset, how to see food as fuel. and then you fail on a specific day, you feel like, why am I even giving advice if I
Mm.
cannot keep up with it? But it's actually very, very normal because, as you said, it's our hormones that are taking, that control over us. And we have to really take a step back and think, okay, I'm coming off of a prep and I really have to do this gradually. Otherwise, I'm gonna mess up my own mental health.
Mm.
So it's really, really tough. And honestly, having all of these people now that are sharing their experiences, it helps a lot. And I really love everything that you're doing on your social media. I keep up with it all the time, and I'm like, okay, if there is something, I'm just gonna watch her social media. I'm pretty sure she's been through it like 1 month before.
Yeah. It's always great when someone's going through a show at the same time as you and you can just totally relate to each other.
Yeah, definitely. My best one was I was really in sync with Julia Renee when she was doing her competitions.
Yeah.
If I recall, she was like competing 1 week before me. And then, yeah, everything that she was going through, I was just going through it like 1 week later with a 1 week delay. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's awesome. She's talking about it. I've been through it. And yeah, just like listen to what she was saying. And she gives great tips as well about bodybuilding. So that's really great.
Yeah, she's great. I love her. She's actually, it's so funny to look back. After I decided I wanted to compete, like literally the day after my husband's first show, I watched like all her videos. I was like, this is so cool. Look at her go. I'm gonna start posing like her. I'm gonna do all these things like her. She's great. So she's awesome.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a, like I'm a data scientist, so I like everything to be in, in boxes. And I was just watching her prep and I was like, this is so organized. That looks like a fairy tale. I want to do this too. And then I forgot that I was very ADHD and that was not gonna happen.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, she's really good at following a plan, but I'm not really that good at following a plan. So yeah, for me, like the whole prep was also learning how to actually follow a plan, to follow
Mm.
the instructions of a coach. I had a personal trainer before that was in person, and I absolutely loved that human being. He was like very fun. He had a lot of energy, and I was more going to the gym to just spend time with him because it was really, really fun than really to work out. But I was also very new to the gym, and what I absolutely loved is that he was teaching me something new every time that I was seeing him. Um, so that was super cool. My best friend was also training with him, so we would compare what we're doing, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm doing very heavy squats. It was like a 40 kilos, and I was like, yeah. Anyways, and then when I got my trainer for bodybuilding show, I really saw the difference between a fitness trainer and a bodybuilding coach, and
Mhm.
how precise it is. And I just loved this precision in this sport. And as we mentioned earlier, I've always said it, just like you, bodybuilding up to a certain stage, the whole lifestyle is very healthy. It's something that I would recommend. I believe that everyone is building in their own way. Like we're all building our bodies, but according to the habits that we've implemented for the last couple of years. But it's true that when we start competing, it starts getting a little bit unhealthy every single week, up to
Mhm.
a very unhealthy point. But we don't compete for health, we compete for a sport. So
Yeah.
it's a big difference.
That's a good way to put it. We're not competing for who's the most healthy person on stage.
Yeah. Otherwise, we'll just bring blood work and compare, like,
Yeah.
what's your level of cholesterol?
Cardiovascular health and resting heart rate.
Actually, I went for a 1 hour run during my prep, and I was so proud of it. And then everyone was like, "Oh, so now you're gonna be running?" I was like, "No, I just wanted to make sure that I can actually do it if I really, really wanted to." And I realized that I can do it, but I don't want to do it. So this
Good
was the
distinction.
one last time. Yeah.
That's funny.
Um, all right. I think we've gone through most of the questions and most of the topics. Is there something that you would love to give as an advice to someone that had body image issues either before prep, after prep, or even in their teenage years that are, you know, following social media influencers, seeing those perfect images, and
Mm.
not realizing that there is a lot of, you know, image photoshopping and posing that goes into it, and light as well. Is there any specific advice you would give to your younger self or to the younger community?
I think something even just recently I've been trying to practice is when I look at myself and I want to be critical and pick out my flaws and talk down on myself, I try to approach it as if I was talking to my dearest friend. Um, like if my friend came to me and said, like, I feel really fat, or I hate the way that I look, or I'm just not happy with my progress, and they're just beating up on themselves, how would I respond to her? What would I say? I'm not going to say, you know what, you're right, you suck. You know what, you could do better, or you shouldn't look this way, or yeah, actually, you are fat. That is not what I would say as a loving, caring friend. Instead, I'm going to encourage them. I'm going to help them to try and have grace for themselves, help them recognize that it is a long game. It's a day after day, battle, and day after day habits and practices that you have to choose and to make. And I think that we are so quick to beat ourselves up, and we don't treat our own selves with the same dignity and grace and respect that we treat other people. And there is no reason that that should be the case. Like, we're going to live with ourselves for forever. Like,
That's
you're going to have the longest relationship you're ever going to have is the one that you have with yourself. So think about how you would, treat a friend if they came to you with the situations that you're dealing with personally, and then try to respond to yourself how you would respond to your friend. And I think that just puts it in a different perspective. And from that perspective, you're able to be a little bit more gentle with yourself and have a little bit more grace and patience with yourself.
that's a very good advice. It's very true that we are the first ones to criticize ourselves. And if we were just another person, we would have treated ourselves the same way. I absolutely love this advice, and I will try to apply it as well for myself. Through that these days, I'm very busy, so I'm honestly not looking at myself in the mirror.
Yeah.
All I'm doing is sending my pictures to my trainer on Sunday and thinking if something is wrong.
My light
um,
went out.
right.
My light died.
Oh,
There we go. Light shift.
oh. For me, it's still very late.
So dark. Yeah.
There's no outside light. There's no sun. So yeah, I just send my pictures on Sunday to my trainer and think I'm gonna leave it in her hands because she's the professional. She knows best, and we've done it before. If I needed to lose weight, if I needed to gain muscles, then we know how to do that. Well, at least she knows how to do that.
Yeah.
She knows better than me, and I'll just follow the instructions and it will be fine. I think putting this responsibility into someone else's hands helps a lot because we're less critical on
Mm.
ourselves because we know that someone else that is way more knowledgeable than us can do something about it.
Yes. It helps you put a little bit more perspective into the situation instead of just having you be the only voice into the situation. They have a little bit more reasoning and rationale than you have being a critic of yourself.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Abby, for all the amazing advice that you've been giving into this podcast. I'm looking forward to seeing your next prep, and
Thanks.
I'm also excited to see the next package you're bringing on stage. And hopefully, if I'm there, I will come and support you.
Yeah. Come over.
I'll do my best. I really want to go to more shows. I know there are like different federations in the US. It's maybe a little bit different from the organizations that we have here in Australia. But yeah, I want to be competing as well in other countries. So you never know. I'm hoping that one day we'll be on the same show day. I know that
Yes.
we're into two different categories, two different divisions, but yeah, definitely it would be a pleasure to have you backstage and share my peanut butter and my
Yes.
crackers with you.
My candies and whatever the carb up treat is.
Yeah, for me it's literally just peanut butter, honey, and rice crackers.
Yep.
Very
Got a
simple.
lot. I ate a ton of honey. A lot of honey.
All right, we'll share our honeys then. Thank you so much for coming, Abby.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Cool.